Well, this is the week of AI SLOP. It's not just on Sora, it's literally everywhere now. But also, it's probably going to be the beginning of the next big fundamental change in all this social media stuff. Chinese electric cars with super hydraulics are literally amusement park rides now. I mean, that's what Star Tours looks like in Disneyland if you saw the ride itself and weren't actually in it. I mean, it looks pretty genius. It actually seems really fun. House-sized 3D printing spider robots have arrived.
It's essentially a giant 3D printer that's going to be able to 3D print homes out of sustainable building materials.
Hannah Lemke made a painting that literally describes every worry I have about the way the world is going. I'm tempted to buy it. I'm curious what you guys think. I just can't tell if I'm like that modern art guy that needs something like this to make a statement in his house, painted on the wall, you know? It's like a different level of doomerism. The thing I knew was going to happen eventually, but I was really kind of hoping it wouldn't ever happen. Big companies with large language models are going to use the data that you give it for advertising. Zuck and Meta look like they're leading the way. China just made AI education completely mandatory for over 200 million Chinese students. One of the more genius uses of AI, the Ring doorbell can now find lost dogs, because when your dog is lost, you can take a photo of it, and all of the doorbells in all of the neighborhood around you could look for them. But then again, that's just like a hop, skip, and a jump away from tracking criminals? Regular people. I'm going to cover humpback whale songs and how they share 3 language laws with us. AI can dream, imagine, forecast in a way that's very human to the future about what it should and shouldn't do. The team at Microsoft says that it can now use artificial intelligence to discover, and it's going to sound like a weird sentence, but this is what they're saying, a zero-day exploit, a vulnerability, but not in computers, in biosecurity systems. There's some fascinating new research that talks about how AI models can manipulate time to make better predictions in a wide range of fields. I need you to now hype this video. If you could give me one of your hypes on this video, that would mean the world to me. All right, so I'm not gonna lie. Unfortunately, my brain is full of AI slop this week. I'm contributing to the problem with my Sora account. Cardistry, it's like one of my favorite things to watch, but it's just sloppy, you know, like the cards just aren't real, but it's close enough that I just watch it and then I get a stressful feeling and I somehow need to watch another. So look, Sora is going to be a really big deal. And right now is a chance for all of us to start a social network from scratch. So if you want to let your creativity shine, sign up with Sora. And then if you want to follow me, what I'm doing right now is I'm legit going to just follow everybody back. And by the way, your stuff will then come up on my feed and I can remix it. And if I think it's cool, I can show it off on the YouTube videos, these long form ones. So yeah, please follow me on Sora and then let's all stress out about this together. You can go to somebody else's channel and cameo them, which means they've given you permission to deepfake them, right? So like I can go to Wes Roth's channel, I can click cameo on him, and it will put him in my prompt, and then just prompts it into existence, and then he gets the ability to pull it down. Let me know your thoughts on Sora. We're going to talk about Dreamer 4. This is a real tool, but I wanted to see if I could sort of prompt an entire short into existence, and you can't really. Okay, so you might remember this video of active suspension. This is something the Chinese car companies were working on about a year ago, and it was really impressive. It's using artificial intelligence to move the suspension of a car up and down just to remove vibrations. But one of the innovations recently that they've built on top of this, because you can sync it up so perfectly, is this: video games. So look at that car just jumping up and down, going left and right. It's actually responding to this video game. So it's a force feedback gaming simulator when it's in park mode now. How interesting is that? And like if you ever go to Disneyland, Universal Studios, a lot of those ride simulators, that's kind of what they're doing. So this is the Star Tours vehicle unit that you would find at Disneyland without the kind of hidden parts that normally you don't see when you're on the ride. Look, that's all it is. It's just 4 gigantic hydraulics that are twisting and turning in sync with the video. And when you're in that thing on the ride, you know, you feel like you're just moving around. like you're on that ship. So the fact that every car can do that and that you can play video games on the screen just kind of shocked me. It's just pretty cool innovation. I hope to see that come to one of the American companies. Seeing they shoot off into light speed and then it just tilts super far up. Like Lion 1860 says, now you can buy a car to play a game where you drive a car. Carception. A big spider robots like this might be building your next house. Really interesting design. Could work really well on the moon, could also work pretty well here on Earth. So the idea is that device has a big hose and it's getting cement from this thing that can be replaced, and it just walks around and it builds the walls of a home. Built by Crest Robotics, you can scale the size of this robot up much bigger. What do you think of this design? I was sort of surprised to see it look like a spider. I usually think wheels and stuff are a fine form factor, but then again, I could see the stability. I could see if AI can get the tiny little parts of how something's angled just slightly maneuvered right. I guess it's a pretty good form factor. Just a little more organic and I guess I might say creepy if you make those things the size of, 2 or 3 stories tall, building big houses. Feels like it run down your neighborhood and like chase you down like a dinosaur, cover you in cement. I don't know. Meta announced that advertising is coming to the data they collect on you when you talk to their LLMs. Kind of bummed about that. I hope that there's systems, even if they're expensive, that won't use that data for a middleman that changes the incentives of what is shown to you. I know that might make these things more expensive, but honestly, keeping advertisers out of it is a way to align what the company does with you, not with the advertisers. I hate that. I hope they have some pushback or have some mechanisms where you're very aware of what's being used and you're very aware of how it's being trained. Maybe some kind of enterprise systems will stay isolated. And I know it says here the social media giants already have a lot of information about its users, and this is just a rich new stream of information. But it's when that information is put into an LLM that it seems just kind of different to me. It's one thing if an advertiser's seeing that as demographics and they're picking me to target their ad to, but when the ad gets customized off the memory that's in my history, it's really gonna be persuasive, and it also might get superhuman persuasive, and I don't know if I want that person being a salesman. And that's why it's important that we have education and we make people as aware of all of this change as possible. China, well, they're doing their part. So 200 million people in that country are now going to be getting integrated AI information from their official school system. There is no opting out. There's no choice. This is a core curriculum now. So there's definitely something going on with the way China works that's different than the US in terms of AI being integrated into the lives of children. They're being woven into nearly every part of kids' lives. Parents are encouraged to turn to smart tutors, which is AI to teach their kids. The homework tablets have a lot of initiatives to get AI integrated into grading systems, into teaching kids. AI therapy is looked upon so far as a little bit more friendly. The idea that AI is better and more efficient than a human teacher has some ideas of truth in it, but also there's definitely a human touch that you don't want to remove. What do you think? In the US, do you think we should make artificial intelligence a core curriculum? Does it need to be taught alongside math and science and all of the education that we have to have in the US just to get a high school degree? All right, so what happens when Ring, the doorbell that has cameras on the front of everybody's house, can mesh together to track someone, or in this case, something, and that something would be lost dogs and cats? Kind of awesome. Search party. It's this new feature to find a lost dog. Like as this commenter says, the reason they use a dog as an example is because to find your lost child, they would have to admit that they can also face track every child in your neighborhood. Where do you want to draw the line on that? I mean, I certainly want children and dogs to be found. If somebody, robs a house and then drives down the street, I guess a network of cameras in the front of everybody's house meshed together could track that license plate or provide a lot of information to authorities. So it might make places safer, but as all this technology is a double-edged sword, it's a little weird to think about all of us going around cities, and no matter what city you're in or what neighborhood you're driving down, there's probably Ring doorbells on a lot of those houses, and they're all meshed together, and it's like, oh, yeah, I know where that person normally lives, and now I see them driving down this street, and they just track that for, I guess, reference later to train some model so it can advertise to you better. I don't know. This commenter says, this means your house camera footage is being sent to the cloud and crunched by AI. Nice. All right, let's talk about the amazing animal kingdom. Katrina Paulson wrote, Humpback whale songs share 3 language laws with us. You might be curious about what those are. So yeah, one of the things that makes humans so different from everyone else is the ability for us to communicate through language. Chimpanzees can make a few sounds with their throat, but not understand the contextual language in the way humans can. But Katrina says, we thought many of the patterns human language follows are unique to. Turns out it's not the case, not by a long shot. For instance, we now know that other animals display moral behaviors, complex emotions, and are likely conscious in ways once considered unfathomable. So here's where the curiosity comes from. She always thought that whales were kind of like the elephants of the sea, both giant animals, mammals that communicate across vast distances. But now, using advanced technology like AI, scientists have now listened closely to the hauntingly beautiful vocals of humpback whales and discovered a similar solution to communicating through sound, similar to the way humans do. So over 8 years of recordings of these whales have now been analyzed by AI, and it turns out that they're structured in a way that mirrors how humans use patterns and translations to make sense of language. So whale songs, it turns out they exhibit similar rhythmic and statistical cues that help them learn and transmit complex vocal patterns. And this is very similar to how human babies learn to identify words in a stream of speech. But it's striking that humpback whales actually use these kind of statistical regularities. This is not something you see anywhere else in the animal kingdom besides us. That is the same cognitive tricks that human infants use to organize their communication into word-like segments. They can be rearranged. That means their songs can have an internal logic. This can be a learnable structure. And maybe for the first time, we have evidence that language learning principles might not be uniquely human, which is a big deal because it suggests that the capacity for culture, teaching, creativity, all that stuff that seems like it's a human monopoly might also apply to humpback whales and other species on Earth. Maybe it's time we rethink how we value non-human minds. Or maybe we just make videos of ourselves playing Jeopardy in Star Trek uniform. Can't stop thinking about Sora, sorry. And look, I just produced more AI slop. What? That's messed up. Wes Roth made a video cameo Jurassic Park style without me in it? I love Jurassic Park. More than Sam Altman. Okay, Wes didn't do it. This creator did. I don't know them. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. This is a significant paper we need to cover. This is Dreamer 4 coming out of Google's DeepMind division. Some of the smartest people in the world working on this. Humans can imagine the future and then learn from that before doing it. Now AI is learning to dream. This could be a total unlock. All right, so what we have here is an agent, something like a ChatGPT agent, but it can do more than just predict next tokens. It can imagine the world instead of just constantly interacting with it. So this system is using a powerful world model to simulate complex object interactions in real time. It allows it to participate and refine behaviors entirely in its own imagination. And impressively, Dreamer 4, this tool, actually learned how to play Minecraft. It became the first AI agent to mine diamonds from Minecraft using only offline data. The system so far is outperforming OpenAI's VPT agent. It requires 100x less training data, and it also generalizes this ability to physical tasks. This means it shows promise for robotics and other real-world applications where real-time interaction is either expensive or risky to collect data from. Different than simulating the outcomes, but imagining them is a powerful tool for not making those mistakes in the first place. So here you can see Dreamer 4 trains behavior by reinforcing learning inside of its own world model. We call this process imagination training. Here it is, imagining mining stone. It's imagining the reward it's going to get, imagining interacting with people. And to see whether Dreamer 4 can also simulate object interactions on the physical world, we train the world model on a robotic data set. And while frontier models have struggled with physics of object interactions, Dreamer 4 allowed for counterfactual interactions on this dataset. So yeah, Dreamer 4, they're right. This marks a significant step towards intelligent agents. All right, let's talk about a Microsoft bombshell in biotech security. So its AI team discovered that a brand new kind of vulnerability exists. They call it a zero-day threat in DNA. So in DNA screening systems, it's meant to stop people from ordering genetic material. You can imagine really bad things that can be done. So using generative AI models like its own EvoDiff, Microsoft's research team found there are ways to slightly redesign dangerous proteins so that they could sneak past biosecurity screening software without losing their toxic function. So they're going to build a system that alerts the government and DNA manufacturers, an open source thing that the other companies can get onto. Obviously, we need something like this, so I'm glad they're taking those first steps. But essentially, Microsoft proved that the same AI tools used to design new medicine can also be repurposed to create potential bioweapons, intentionally or not. All right, here's a pretty fascinating little architecture change. So it turns out AI models can manipulate time to make better predictions in a wide range of fields. Manipulating time is something, even in my simulations in my own brain, I can do. And I was thinking, gosh, I should probably do more of that after reading this. Researchers at UC Santa Cruz have created a breakthrough AI technique called Future Guided Learning, FGL. And that lets deep learning models, quote, look ahead, unquote, in time to improve prediction. So kind of like imagination, I guess, but a little bit more in terms of time. By using two models, a student that predicts events in the future and a teacher that has already accessed the data closer to that event, this method allows the student to learn from the teacher's future insight. Pretty interesting stuff. So when tested on seizure predictions, they were using EEG brain data. The technique achieved a 44.8% better performance than traditional methods. So it shows its potential in healthcare and beyond. And so much stuff is time series, right? You're looking at x-rays, making a guess as to whether or not somebody has cancer or something in the future is going to happen. We're trying to predict and diagnose all the time. But it draws inspiration directly from the human brain's predictive nature. And this is second big article this week that's kind of showing AI is developing that. So hit that hype button if you're on the mobile app for YouTube. It should be on the comments if you swipe to the right. Some people don't see it. If you don't see it, no worries. I still appreciate you looking. You leave a comment. If you guys want to follow me on Sora, I'll follow you back. If you want to use hype in the comments, I'll try to get to it and reply. This is such a wild time, and I just appreciate you being here with me. Send me anything through Patreon that you want me to check out. I'm getting overwhelmed with all the stuff that's going on, but I'm just letting my curiosity guide what kind of articles get covered in these videos, but I like to source from all over the place. So comments, Patreon, X, whatever you got. So we'll see you in the next one.